Talk to me about dealing with a historic property tactically as a developer.
Oh, it's fun. Basically, take a regular development project that obviously has its own stress and brain damage and then involve more governmental agencies and state officials. It's well worth it at the end. Obviously, you get tax credits for it. So you got the state and the federal tax credits, and every building is different in terms of what is historic, what's not historic.
So you got the tax credits because of the designation as a landmark.
Correct. Yes, the building is on the National Registry of Historic Places. Therefore, it can get tax credits, historic tax credits.
So you're working on a really cool project right now. How did you find it? And
I've been tracking the Aladdin for probably 8 months. Finally got to the right place, right time. But the Aladdin is a 100-year-old historic hotel built in 1925. I'm completely converting it to apartments, so gutting out everything, all the non-historic items of the building. Floors 3 to 15, basically. When it's done, it'll be 122 apartments, a top floor cocktail bar, and about 20,000 square feet of amenity space. So it'll be pretty cool.
I know you said you were tracking it, but what brought you here? How did you find the Aladdin to be the home of this development?
Just right place, right time of pricing, seller expectations, guidance, him finally resonating with me and understanding what my vision was for it and ability to execute. If you have ability to execute and act quick when things come around, then the world is your oyster.
Time kills deals.
Yes, indeed.
Talk to me about dealing with a historic property, what that looks like tactically as a developer.
Oh, it's fun. Basically, take a regular development project that obviously has its own stress and brain damage and then involve more governmental agencies and state officials and all of that. It's interesting. It's well worth it at the end. Obviously, you get tax credits for it. There's a couple different ways to utilize the tax credits, but what we're doing is we're bridging the tax credits. So we got our senior lender bank construction loan, and then we're bridging both our state and federal tax credits as cash injection equity up front. So our capital stack is roughly 50% bank loan, 35% historic tax credit bridge loan, and then the remaining 10-15% of equity.
That's cool.
Yep. So you got the state and the federal tax credits, and every building is different in terms of what is historic, what's not historic, what your plans are, what you want to do. So there's a 3-part process. A part 1 where you submit, and if the building's on the registry, thank God the Aladdin already was. Otherwise, that process takes about 9 months. Then the part 2, you submit your plans for the building. Hey, here's what I'm going to do, cost of renovation, etc. And then once that's approved, you can start construction, do whatever you want, not whatever you want, whatever the plans say you can do. Oftentimes they come back with you and say, hey, you're good, but fix this, or hey, you're good, but we want to see more information on that. But once you're approved fully, then you build, you reconstruct, etc. And then at the end, you get a part 3. They walk through and they check the National Park Service for historic standards and walk through and make sure everything's kosher and good to go. And then you get your part 3.
So you got the tax credits because of the designation as a landmark.
Correct. Yes, the building is on the National Registry of Historic Places. Therefore, it can get tax credits, historic tax credits.
This is all residential conversion, then with some, you said a bar, elements of retail.
Yep.
Do they do any affordable housing, or this is just the benefits of living in Denver?
In Kansas City, there are affordable housing requirements. Historic tax credits are exempt from the city code because obviously the cost to rehabilitate, etc. Now the Aladdin project is a little different. We will have 10% of our units set aside to 60% AMI. So those affordable, and then technically speaking, all of our units will be naturally affordable. So in the eyes of a development and developer, it's market rate housing. But just based on the price point of the comps, in theory, no one will be spending more than 33% of their income on rent. Therefore, in HUD standards, it's naturally affordable.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Construction prices are all over the what are you doing to combat that and to be able to confidently underwrite?
Yeah, I mean, up front was really important to have a very large contingency, both from just a development standpoint and B, especially a historic development standpoint. When you first go in there, you're making a lot of assumptions of, okay, I think there's, the column's this size, or you think the wall's right here. You don't get to know all that until you start construction, which you can't start until the part 2 has been approved. So therefore, you're already all in at that point, in theory. So just making sure you hold a strong contingency, working very closely with the general contractor and being not just meeting at the OAC meetings every week, actually being involved I mean, I'm on site every day, making sure everything's going kosher. We're staying on time, on budget, et cetera. But yeah, there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be delays, and there's going to be overruns. So just plan for it up front to make sure you've got enough money in the bank account to keep things funded.
They say development is very cyclical. What we have seen in our market is that when interest rates flipped in 22 is the beginning of the end of our development market. Obviously, the projects that already had shovels in the ground are still going, and there are exceptions to every rule. Are you finding development, there's a lot of other development around the Aladdin, or what are you seeing?
There's over $7 billion worth of projects planned, and we'll be starting construction over the next year and a half, 2 years in Kansas City. There's tons of different projects going on, whether that be databases, hotels, apartments, mixed use, retail, office, etc. We have a housing shortage in the United States. That's a fact. Kansas City has a housing shortage. We need a lot more housing. There are big projects breaking ground this year and have been breaking ground, but there hasn't been over the past couple of years. So, for example, in 2026, the Aladdin will be one of the only apartments that turn online within the downtown urban core of Kansas City, which is great for me, great for the 122 new residents, great for the city, but at the same time, that's not enough, right? When demand's outweighing supply, that's a problem, and that's when you get rent increases and higher payments, et cetera, which leads to unaffordability. And that's a problem macroly with everyone not understanding supply and demand. And if you build more apartments and build more housing options, then rents go down and all that because costs aren't going anywhere. Interest rates, no one knows. So there's definitely projects happening, but we need a lot more. And that's not just Kansas City, it's everywhere. But I feel very confident about Kansas City's pipeline. We have the highest rent growth in the country right now, year to date this year, sitting at about 5%. And for a tier 3, tier 4 city, a traditionally stable market that's not very volatile, having the highest rent growth is both good and a con. Con meaning we need more housing. Good if you're under construction right now or you're in the planning process. I always tell people, if you can make a project math right now in development, which is hard, if you can make it math right now, whether that be a discounted rate on land or building, or you have a good relationship with the GC and they can come in on the deal and do things at cost or delay fees, et cetera. But if you can make it work right now, I think in the next 3-4 years, you're going to be sitting in a very, very good spot, both financially and in the eyes of the city.
One of my favorite questions, and I'm excited to ask you this because you're just such a young, new perspective. What is your commercial real estate secret?
Bob Knack always says it's not about what you know or who you know, it's who knows you. I would say, I would kind of echo that, and I totally agree with it. I would say people don't truly, people completely underestimate the power of being able to act quick and have the right partners and people in mind. This project I'm getting ready to do, it was right place, right time. I had a day to be able to figure it out. And I made 2 phone calls and got it figured out. And so that's extremely important from a capital standpoint to be able to say, hey, I got this project. We'll talk about how the splits are going to work later, but I need $2 million. Are you in? Yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. And having those relationships and trust with those people is crazy. And that just speaks volume to, you are who your network is. And you can do anything you want. You can just do things. You just have to build trust and give up a lot to get started. I always tell people I'm not going to make any money on my first 3 or 4 projects, but that sets the foundation for the next, right? The whole goal of what I'm doing right now is to make everybody that supports me right now, both financially, emotionally, physically, et cetera, to make them worth the buck and make them happy, because then they'll be supporters forever.
You heard it first from the man himself. Zach, thank you for being on the show today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah.
If you guys want to follow along, Molzer Development Instagram account, I'm starting to do more reels and stuff on there. Obviously, my LinkedIn, and then Casey Molzer on Twitter. So definitely where you find me.
Zach, appreciate your time today. And for everybody listening, we'll see you next week.